The deeper we dig into the faraway past, the clearer it becomes. Our ancient ancestors were more skilled, more innovative, and far more relatable than we usually imagine. That's exactly why historical archaeological discoveries keep us hooked. And if you're here, we know you're just as obsessed with this journey through time as we are. So join us as we look at 15 of the most amazing recent ancient artifact finds that prove, once again, that history is anything but boring. Let's start off with number 15, Iron Age dagger on Polish coastline. After a strong storm, two metal detectorists wandering the shoreline in West Pomeranian voivodeship stumbled upon a curious object stuck in a block of fallen cliffside clay. What they pulled out was far from ordinary, a 10-inch long Iron Age dagger etched with lunar crescents and star-like shapes. Experts at the Museum of the History of the Crimean Land dated it to the Hallstatt period, around 2,500 years ago. The detail on the blade raised eyebrows. It wasn't just a weapon, it looked like a ceremonial piece, possibly linked to ancient solar worship. Some believe it may have symbolized constellations or celestial navigation. The craftsmanship surprised even seasoned researchers, with museum director Grzegorz Kurka calling it the most unique dagger he'd seen in the region. Analysis is still underway to decode the metal's makeup and figure out whether it was locally forged or came from farther south, maybe even imported from beyond Poland. For now, it stands as a puzzle wrapped in symbols and Iron Age mystery. Number 14. Statues at Pompeii Seps, Forgotten Tomb. In Pompeii's Porta Sarno necropolis, archaeologists uncovered two statues resting beside a forgotten tomb, nearly life-size figures that had endured centuries of ash, silence, and shifting earth. One was a woman, elegant and serene, possibly a high-ranking priestess devoted to Ceres, the Roman goddess of agriculture. Her hands held laurel leaves, traditionally used to purify sacred spaces. Around her neck hung a lunula, a crescent-shaped pendant with deep symbolic meaning. Beside her stood a man, though his identity is less certain. Some guess he might be her husband, others say her son. Gabriel Zuchtrigo, head of the Pompeii Archaeological Park, reminded everyone that Roman tomb statues didn't always follow a neat pattern. Some showed families, some did not. The absence of inscriptions leaves room for speculation, but that uncertainty adds depth to the discovery. Their gaze frozen in stone, these figures have returned to light with no voice to explain, only their pose and presence left to tell whatever story we can piece together. Number 13. Camels on ceramic in Israel's Sips Yatir Forest. In a cave carved into the rock of Horvat Anam, archaeologists working through Israel's Yatir Forest uncovered a piece of pottery that speaks volumes without saying a word. This one, 200-year-old jug, decorated with red geometric lines and painted animals, including camels and maybe even an ostrich, offers a snapshot of life in the early Islamic period. Camels weren't just a symbol, they were the backbone of the trade routes. The winged camel design might have been an artist's imaginative twist, or a nod to speed and endurance. The vessel was found inside a cave that had once been transformed into a home, and before that functioned as an olive oil press. Stone blocks and a central basin still hinted at how olives were once crushed here. During Roman and Byzantine times, ships and carts moved goods, but in this era, the camel took center stage. This one painted jug quietly captured a moment in history where animals, trade, and daily life intersected in painted clay. Number 12. Pyramid Complex, hidden in the Judean desert. While combing through the rugged cliffs and caves of the Judean desert, a team from the Israel Antiquities Authority stumbled on something big, literally. Amid a trove of ancient scrolls, coins, and leather artifacts, they found a structure built from hand-hewn stones shaped into a towering pyramid-like form. No flashy burial chamber or golden relics, just solid stone and centuries of desert silence. The discovery was part of a large-scale mission to document over 900 caves across 100 miles, protecting the region's fragile heritage from theft and erosion. Coins and papyrus written in Greek link the site to the Hellenistic era, possibly during the reign of the Ptolemies or Antiochus IV. The purpose of the pyramid remains a mystery. Was it a tomb, a lookout post, or something else entirely? Researchers are still puzzling that out. But one thing's clear, this was no simple shelter. As Eli Escusito, head of the Antiquities Authority, put it, this find adds a new layer to Israel's deep, complex archaeological record. What do you think about it? Number 11. Clovis tool beneath a church in Maryland. In Reisterstown, Maryland, a volunteer dig team working with the Maryland Historical Trust recovered a Clovis-era stone tool, estimated to be 13,000 years old. It was unearthed at the grounds of St. John's Western Run Episcopal Church, where past construction had already revealed signs of ancient activity. The site, known as Piney Grove, had previously yielded large amounts of chalcedony fragments, material Clovis people frequently used for crafting sharp tools. This particular object is believed to be a scraper, possibly used to clean animal hides. According to archaeologist Zachary Singer, it's the first formal stone tool recovered from the site. Lab tests will follow to determine if any trace proteins are still present, possibly from deer or other animals Clovis hunters once pursued. While small, the find carries weight. It confirms long-standing theories that the area served as a quarry, and it connects modern Maryland to some of the earliest human activity in North America. It also hints that the rest of the story may still be underground. Number 10. Roman marble slab. For 10 years, a 2,000-year-old Roman marble slab was unknowingly used as a horse mounting block in a private garden in Wiltshire. The owner had no idea what it was until a friend noticed the engraved Latin inscription and suggested showing it to an archaeologist. That simple suggestion flipped the story. The text honors a man named Demetrios, son of Metrodoros and grandson of Leukos. It doesn't tell us why he was celebrated or how the slab made it from ancient Greece to rural England. What we do know is this: the stone was carved with care, meant to mark a life remembered. Somehow, it ended up half buried in the yard of a home built in the 1960s. It's strange to think about how something meant for reverence was stepped on for years. But even after centuries and weather and wear, the letters held their shape. Demetrios may have been forgotten for a while, but his name didn't disappear. It just waited to be noticed again. Number 9. T. Chamfron Mystery. In the National Museum of Scotland sits a curious Iron Age puzzle. Two intricately decorated bronze objects, a pony cap and a pair of horns. They were unearthed together, suggesting a connection, but historians still debate whether they were ever truly one object. The horns appear to have been added after the pony cap was crafted, leading to two prevailing theories: either they formed part of a single ornate helmet, or they were drinking horns repurposed for display. The style is unmistakably Latin, Celtic art that helps date the artifacts to around 2,200 years ago. Some experts propose the horns are slightly younger, possibly added a century or two later. What no one disputes is the sheer craftsmanship. The metalwork reflects a level of skill that contradicts how Roman writers later described Iron Age Britons as crude or savage. These items push back on that narrative, showing that early Scottish artisans weren't just talented. They were artists working with meaning, precision, and bold imagination. Number 8. Cramond Lioness. Near the River Almond in Edinburgh, back in 1997, a local ferryman stumbled across something that would shift how historians saw Roman Scotland. What he found was carved from a single block of stone, just over 5 feet long, a lioness sinking her teeth into the head of a bound man. The scene is brutal, unmistakably deliberate, and unlike any Roman sculpture found before in the region, it may have once guarded the tomb of a Roman commander stationed at the nearby Cramond Roman fort, though no tomb has ever been uncovered. The sculpture, dubbed the Cramen Lioness, is Roman in design but emotionally raw in execution. Whether it served as a warning, a memorial, or something more symbolic is still up for debate. It now rests in the National Museum of Scotland, preserved but silent. How it ended up in the river, how it survived, and who it depicted, we still don't know. But what's certain is that it wasn't meant to be forgotten. Number 7. The Galloway Hoard. The wind-swept hills of Galloway had long whispered about a Viking battle, but it wasn't until 2014 that proof finally surfaced. Amateur detectorist Derek McLennan unearthed a trove of over 100 items, jewelry, artifacts, relics, now known as the Galloway Hoard. The scale and preservation of this find make it the largest Viking treasure discovery in British history. Among the standout pieces is a detailed Anglo-Saxon cross, so finely crafted and richly decorated that scholars believe it must have belonged to royalty or high-ranking clergy. Gold leaf, intricate engravings, and symbolic nods to the Gospel authors, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, cover its surface. Experts value the cross alone at over £2 million. The rest of the hoard includes silver arm rings, brooches, and even rare textiles that rarely survive burial. This wasn't a stash buried in a hurry. It was carefully placed, wrapped, and sealed. Whether it was hidden before battle or left as tribute, the find rewrites what we know about Viking and Anglo-Saxon relations. Number 6. Viking Dragon Brooch Fragment. In 2015, archaeologists working in the old Viking port town of Birka, Sweden, turned up a fragment that stirred more excitement than expected, a small bronze dragon head. It wasn't an entire brooch, just a piece, but what made it stand out was its uncanny match to a mold found on the same site way back in 1870. Linking the two meant something rare. Both the cast and the mold had somehow survived across centuries in the same place. Birka, a vital trading hub during the 8th century, served as a bridge between Scandinavia and far-reaching regions like the Middle East. The brooch fragment itself is unique. The dragon sports curling hair and an open jaw, a depiction unlike any other Norse art found before. Its individuality and fine detailing hint at local craftsmanship meant for someone of real status. Since 1993, Birka has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and this tiny dragon adds another layer to its rich tapestry of trade, myth, and masterful metalwork. Number 5. The cake that survived the bombing. Well, this one is not that ancient, but it is old. When a bakery in Lübeck was hit during a 1942 bombing raid, nothing made it out, except a cake. It had been sitting in the basement, waiting to be used for a confirmation ceremony that never happened. As the building above collapsed, debris sealed the cake in, just tight enough to protect it from the fire without crushing it. The heat turned it black, but the icing, swirls, and shape stayed exactly as they were. It sat there, untouched, for nearly 80 years before being pulled from the rubble in 2021. The press called it the mummy cake, but it wasn't mummified, it was carbonized. Documents found underneath it confirmed the date and its intended purpose. There's something quietly devastating about it. A celebration was planned, a moment that should have been ordinary, joyful. Instead, the only thing that remained was the cake, scorched, silent, and perfectly preserved. Not because it was meant to be remembered, but because the world around it fell apart. What do you think about it? Number 4. Copper axes in Sweden. When 2 Bronze Age axes were tested in Sweden, nobody expected the copper to trace back to Cyprus. That threw a wrench into everything historians assumed about trade in Northern Europe. These tools are 3,600 years old, and they weren't just sitting on a shelf, they were made, used, and eventually buried thousands of miles from where their materials came from. It didn't stop with 2 either. Over 70 blades and daggers were analyzed, and more than a few turned up the same Cypriot signature. The pieces don't just raise questions, they might answer one too. A rock carving in Bohuslän shows what looks like two ships, and a third object that had puzzled experts for years. Now many think that the shape is a copper ingot, and the entire carving is a snapshot of metal being shipped across sea routes. What started as a metals test turned into a history lesson, one that proves ancient Scandinavia wasn't as isolated as books once suggested. Number 3. Statues of Sekhmet. Well, just look at that creepy thing. Excavations at the temple of Amenhotep III in Luxor revealed 27 statues of Sekhmet, the lion-faced goddess known for war and healing. Each statue is carved from black granite, a material that's not easy to work with but was clearly chosen to last. Most of the figures stand over 6 feet tall, some seated on thrones with the Ankh symbol resting in one hand. The level of craftsmanship speaks volumes, but so does the scale. The temple complex spans nearly 4 million square feet, roughly 65 football fields. Archaeologists believe a massive earthquake damaged much of it over 3,000 years ago, but enough of the structure and sculpture survived to give us a real sense of its scale. These statues weren't built as decoration, they were offerings, protectors, and possibly even part of healing rituals. Despite the time and damage, they're still here, weathered but whole. And as more of the temple is cleared, it's likely we've only scratched the surface of what's buried beneath it. Number 2. Ancient ink Vindolanda tablets. Vindolanda has always had a reputation for producing well-preserved Roman artifacts, but the discovery of thin wooden tablets bearing actual ink writing takes things to another level. These tablets, around 2,000 years old, are some of the earliest known written records from Britain, and the fact that they've survived at all is due to the unique soil conditions of the site. Just a few millimeters thick, the wood stayed intact in the damp, oxygen-free ground. The messages aren't official military orders or political decrees, they're personal notes. One soldier named Masculus asks his superior for leave. In another message, he requests beer. It's the kind of daily human detail that rarely survives from the ancient world. There's no mythology or glory, just a tired Roman wanting a drink and a break from duty. Finds like this change how we picture ancient soldiers, not just as warriors, but as regular people, stuck in cold forts, writing letters home and hoping someone reads them. Number 1. Mayan canoe. 1,000 years is a long time for anything made of wood to survive, but this Mayan canoe did exactly that. Found in a cenote in San Andres, the canoe somehow held its structure after spending centuries underwater. It's around 5 feet long, just enough room for 2, maybe 3 people. Considering how close the site is to Chichen Itza, it's hard not to picture it once gliding along the water, ferrying someone from that ancient city. This isn't the first canoe from the era we've seen, but it's the first one that's fully intact. Others, found in Belize, Guatemala, and Quintana Roo, were all in pieces. The timing of the find is no coincidence either. The area is being dug up ahead of Mexico's new railway construction. It's a controversial project, and for good reason. It's tearing through land with deep ties to Maya history. But before it covers things up, it's forcing archaeologists to move fast, and thanks to that, this canoe was pulled back into the light. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.